Hi, my name is Gabrielle Schreier, and I'm here today on behalf of Balanced Body. I'm a physical therapist and co-owner of Core Conditioning. We are a physical therapy, Pilates, and gyrotonic facility looking at rehabilitative wellness. So the segment we're looking at today is looking at pelvic stability. And when you look at pelvic stability, you really can't look at pelvic stability without also looking at pelvic hip differentiation. It's one of the things we see a lot of issues with, is that when you challenge moving the hips in all different planes of motion, that you're not able to stabilize the pelvis against those planes of motion. So this exercise is excellent for looking at those. We're going to be doing 3 different exercises in the sideline called clams, hydrants, and kickbacks. And those will be challenging all 3 planes of motion, transverse, sagittal, and frontal planes, which obviously you can't say someone has good pelvic stability unless they have good stability in all ranges of motion. So I'm going to have you lie on your side, and I have the reformer set up on one red spring. Getting into this position can be a little cumbersome to help the client, but for safety reasons, this seems to be the easiest way to get in. So I will actually have her help me by pushing with her bottom foot against the wood, and then I can pull on this and get this behind her knee. Okay, and then she can bend her bottom leg and bring both knees bent. So once I have her in position, then I want to look at her alignment once I have her set up in sideline. And I want to see good alignment from the side so that her shoulders are below her ears, and then her hips, so that her hips aren't too far forward or back, and she looks good right here. And then I also want to make sure that even to start, she's stabilized in a neutral pelvis in the frontal plane. So I need to make sure her top hip is drawing down and that there's a little space here, and that immediately will get her local muscles working around her pelvis. Shoulder blades are drawing down, and I want to make sure she's not flaring her ribs by getting into her neutral pelvis. So the first exercise, clams, she's going to keep her feet squeezing together and reach her knee up toward the ceiling, and the carriage will move as she does that. And she will only be able to go as high with her knee as she has hip range of motion. So not everybody's going to go the same range, because it just depends how much hip rotation she has. And that's all I want to see is hip rotation. And what people will tend to do to get more range of motion is roll their whole pelvis back to get their knee higher. So I mainly want to see that her pelvis stays absolutely still as her knee reaches up toward the ceiling. She's twisting her femur and draw it down. And I can even add a little bit of stretch for her and draw her knee and down. And go ahead and do one more. Exhale as you draw it. And inhale, lower. And she needs to be maintaining her stability here through all the repetitions. So next we're going to do hydrants. Now for hydrants, we're going to be looking at frontal plane, and I don't want the carriage to move here, and that's one of the challenges of doing this exercise on the reformer. So for this one, your whole leg as a unit is going to lift and lower. And as she lifts, I want pure abduction and no sinking in her waist. So she's still going to be lifted here and drawing down, and no movement of the carriage, which means she has to have a certain amount of pressure through her hamstring to maintain the carriage still. And one more. And down. And then don't come all the way down. Good. And then I'm going to have you bend your knee up towards your chest and press straight back. So these are called kickbacks. As she bends her knee in, I want to make sure she doesn't take her pelvis with her, which she is tending to do here. So I want her pelvis still long right here. And then exhale, press from here and reach back. Good, without arching her back. So now I want to see hip flexion and not pelvic tilting, and back. And one more time, reach your knee in, and then reach back. Bend your knees together, and rest. Good. So to come out of it, we do it the same way we came in. I'm going to have her reach her bottom leg to find the wood, which can be difficult. There it is. Press straight with that leg so that we can take this out and control the carriage back in. So as you can see, that exercise challenges all different parts of hip strength. We looked at hip extension, we looked at hip rotation. It challenges gluteus medius, which obviously is an important muscle because that's a hip stabilizer, which is also very important for pelvic stabilization, especially when standing. So I love this exercise. I love it on the reformer because it's moving and proprioceptive input is a little bit challenged, and we get to look at pelvic hip differentiation in all the different planes of motion. So thank you for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.